I'm moving on the driver's door. This is the male side striker plate. Goes in here. Now I had another video where on this driver's door where I cut the panel and put this in, and since I got my frame in and pretty straight, I wanted to get all the place to set without killing myself. I wanted to get the male side in, so this will be finished when I go to start welding up all of these braces in here. Well, this comes on a plate. It's got a bracket here that holds a cage nut that slops around. This is supposed to get welded into your frame, I suppose. And I could have done that. I could have cut this out, you know, from up here someplace all the way down to the bottom. You can see that it'd take a pretty good chunk, but I'd lose the originality here. I would probably been into my part of my door jamb, and I'd had to cut a big hole in it, and then this cage nut comes out all 3/4 of an inch, so I'd had to cut everything out of here from all the way back here forward. I would have been basically cutting my whole frame in two. I didn't want to do that, so I cut this cage nut off, and the cage, and here's the little nut and bolt that was left inside the cage. I don't know how well you can see, the light's not very good from this view, but so what I did do is I had to slice this 1-inch piece there and bend it back so I'd clear, and it took me 2 or 3 times. I marked where the center line of the bolt's supposed to be, and did a little playing around with the adjustment. The only adjustment I have in it now is putting on more washers or less washers, so in and out. But I got it straight and I tacked it. This is a final position, so now I can weld quite a bit more around here. I can bend this tab back against the plate here or close to it, weld that. I can weld this up much better, and it's just this thin metal that is being welded to, so the more little stuff I can get in it, the better. And when you adjust these things, or when you put them on, I know this is probably going to flip you upside down, well, obviously, but what you want to do is get that bolt right in the middle of those strikers, so when they start to close, see, both of them are moving at the same time, both of the grabbers. That tells you it's in the middle. If you get one grabbing before the other one, you're either too high or too low, and you get your first click, that's your safety lock, and then kind of got to slam it a little. Then your second one, there we go, see, that closes both of them, and it's secure. I got just a little play in it. Rubber will take care of that. It opens right up. So that's the deal. this bolt needs to be exactly in the center of these two teeth here, so they both close at the same time. And when you get it all the way closed, you don't want it to be hitting something. You need a little bit of 1/16 of an inch or whatever you're going to put in here for rubber. Now I just gave it just a little bit of slack. Now this bolt will move around. I can bend it, you know, maybe a 1/16 of an inch either way, but I've got it now where it is straight and parallel to the door on both sides. It's got double lock closing. Whatever rubber I put in here, I'll either pound the metal down a little bit if it's too thick, but now that I've got this in, I'm going to go ahead and, you know, pound this little tab I cut here. I'm going to pound it back into here as close as I can, put a little weld on it, tack it here in the back. I'm going to make this real strong because that's what's actually holding the door. Once I can get that all welded in there good and solid and straight, and then I'll probably put all this hole here now I don't need. So I don't know what that was for, but I can make some patches and strengthen this, weld this all together so I can strengthen it all up. But it's going to be just a lot of welding of little pieces to get this strong. And this 1-inch piece is kind of most of the strength of the whole cage is in there, and I cut one side out, so I'll weld some kind of a brace on that. I don't think I got enough room to weld another 1-inch piece. If I could get a 1-inch piece from down here to up here would be good. I got a friend of mine gave me a bunch of junk iron today. Well, here's part of my score. I got a lot of good stuff here. This is all 14 gauge or 1/8 inch. It's nice heavy stuff. This bed frame is what I had 1-inch by 2-inch brackets that I mounted the body with. That's real good. I got a 1-inch solid bolt there. I got a couple 1/2-inch plates. Quite a bit of stuff here. There was a lot more of it, but I just picked the stuff that I knew I'd use. And I got a 1-inch thick wall pipe. That's, oops, showing me instead of hurt here. Showing you me. Anyway, this is 40 feet, 1-inch. This must have been a boiler pipe or a water pipe. It's split right there, but that's 15 feet at least of good heavy thick wall pipe. Yeah, it's 1/4 inch thick, and this is thick wall. Well, no, that's standard. But anyway, that's a lot of 1-inch pipe. I needed 40 feet of square. So I got 20 foot around there. And excuse my junk pile, guys, but it gets less of a junk pile. And I got a piece of 1-inch angle. I'll probably use that right now on the door lock. Let's see if I can get a piece of this in there. It's rusty, but I know by weight, I have to buy this stuff new. It'd be over $200. I mean, that one plate right there, a 14 gauge, was probably 15-20 bucks. But I got plenty of steel here. He's got a lot of old cars. Got a 34 Ford. He's got a really nice old Buick. It was left outside. It had a cloth top. All the interior's gone, but all the skin and everything, motor, it's all beautiful. You got a lot of stuff just parked. It'd take him days just to get it out. But anyway, he's got a shop next door to me, so he's been real helpful with offering me to use his heister and coming over looking at all my stuff. And so anyway, I'll get to work here and see what I can do about bracing this up. Well, started using up my new steel right away. I knocked the rust down with a flapper disc, and I just coated the inside of that. I haven't got the outside yet. If you weld it when it's still wet, it's not too bad. But if you try to weld it dry, it doesn't want to break an arc. So I'm going to cover this area here about 6 or 8 inches. So I just put rust converter on everything that's going to be covered up, and now we'll clamp it on and weld it. Well, that's in. Again, we kind of got bad light, but it goes from up here, which is 4 or 5 inches above the holes, down there, and you can just see these tacks here. I just tacked it in again to just get it straight. Angle iron, you can see, is a little bigger than that 1-inch piece, so I clamped it on flush to the front. That left me a little gap right here, but that'll give me a little better something to weld to here. I'll patch this hole up here where I cut out to go around that, but it went in good. It's not perfectly flush, but I didn't really go to clamping on that because I know this bar is straight. That angle iron might be bent a little, but at any rate, it's a lot more strong than it was. And the door closes good. Goes to double click, opens. So I haven't altered the geometry any. Boy, the stuff dries fast out here in the heat. Turns black. And it makes some fumes. So I'm going to go ahead and rust convert the back of this. And I'm not going to finish welding it right now. I welded it good across the top here, but this wet rust converter really makes some nasty fumes. And I'll go down here on the bottom of this one when I get ready, weld it, put a few more tacks in this, and then I can grind it all off. But that definitely made a good strong brace there. I need to do something about this down here, because it's just 2 1/2-inch pieces. So I'll probably put another 1/2-inch piece. See, this one here, I used a whole 1-inch piece in there. But this one was already, I don't know whether I made that or what. It looks like it was already welded together with 1/2-inch pieces. But I'll clean that up and put another piece in there. I'll probably do that right now. I have to clean up the bottom there so I can get something welded flush. Yeah, I think one more 1/2-inch piece welded in the front and welded along the back there will give me plenty of strength. Gotta get some light in here. I really can't see at this time of the day. And that'll strengthen this whole door frame up. But that angle iron really put the beef into all the hinge. Well, it had so many cutouts in it that, and then I'll tack this on the inside once everything's dry good, and I can get in there with a wire brush and clean it. I'll just tack it down into the sheet metal in a few places here, basically on this plate, and that'll make that good and solid. And then I'll weld a plate in here. I probably ought to make these tin patches first. But as far as putting a bear claw latch in, that's basically how you do it. I'll try to edit out the other part of the other video and add it into this one, so we'll have a one how to install bear claw latches. This will just be part of the 29 video for now. I'll go ahead and finish rust converter in this. Wife just came home, so I guess I'll go get something to eat. Well, now I got some heavy steel to make braces out of, and a good door. I started lining this up. I can move the this whole business here for the doors on these brackets I made back and forth and rotate them a little. I've got that one clamped down good over there because that's where the door is, and I've got pretty sure these are stock brackets here where these two lips come together, and I've got them clamped in there real close to where they should go. This matches the door. Of course, you can see that rear end's just being held up there with a block. This side is good and straight. I don't have the splash panel on it, so this could move back and forth. This one, I've got the splash panel on it, and the fender and the body are bolted into that splash panel. So this kind of determines where the body goes. And of course it has to match the door frame. It's all one piece, it ain't going nowhere. So I've got 2 or 3 bolts in this about the middle. There might be a little bit of adjustment in it, but not much. I've got this sheet metal here clamped approximately where it should go. I'll have to make a lip or something for that. But it moved my cowl out. I don't know how close I am to the hole. Yeah, it looks like it came forward a little. But basically I have to get all of this, get both splash panels on it, and make sure they're not twisted and bent and holes ripped out, and measure from some known point. I don't know where would be a known point. This is also rusty and chewed up, but look like this first bolt hole here in the fender is kind of good on both of them. Maybe I can measure from there to a rivet. Everything else is kind of twisted, and I don't know how close the bolt holes even are. They could be off ½ an inch, but it looks like I'm about 3½ inches here to that bolt hole. This is about the same, and I'm 3/4 of an inch on the seam to the frame, and this one's about an inch. But this slides really easy. So what I was planning on doing is, well, this is a good drip rail right here. I think maybe I'll just take maybe I'll just patch this one, weld a piece there on the inside, cut a curve in it, piece of flat metal. But somewhere across there where that board's hitting up there on top, I need to put a brace across that. And it looks like I got pretty good holes there that are in the middle. I guess that was a package tray back there. And I've got some 1-inch pipe now that I can whack on the cement and bend. So I can probably put a brace across there without a lot of trouble, left to right, and weld that to the skin. And then I can cut a couple pieces of pipe here going straight up from the frame, just from there up to the middle of that. I might even weld a couple bolts or something on the bottom of them so I can adjust them up and down. But I can use this middle of this hood, or this body. It would be actually the back of the trunk. You know, that's got to be braced good anyway, so. Or I may just weld something here in the front. Doesn't make any difference, but I think I'd be better off to start with to make my bracket there at the trunk, and just make this one weld to those brackets. So that's the next thing, is to get this up and braced, and that'll be the first place to start, right there in the middle. I'll just weld me up a 1-inch pipe frame in there, since I got 40 feet of pipe. I'm not sure, but I'll get this somehow so I can keep it level, or hold it in a good solid position, so I can fabricate the rest of the mounts for this. And then that'll let me finalize where my door frames go, and then I can move on to finally mounting this cowl. But I got to get this frame on here first in order to get this body solid. So right now I can take the body off. You know, it's not that big a deal. One guy can do it, pull the fenders off, and you can get it off. So at this point, I'm gonna try to get something in there and mounted so it'll be held good. By the way, this black here is that rust converter. I put this on with the door. You can see here what it did to all this. And this stuff's tough. You can't scratch it with a, you can scratch it with a screwdriver, but it's hard to do even then. But there's all that old angle iron I painted. It looks like it's black paint, but it's a lot tougher than paint. So I had to figure out what to do with that. I'm going to use this little piece of what was left there, use it for angle patches in here, and weld it all in, grind it all down. It'll look great. But I got the skin up where it goes and where the door matches all of it, so this side's good, and the other side's real close. I'm within 1/4 of an inch. I don't know how much of this was cut off. No way to tell, really. I'll just get it where it looks the best, and I'll make something for this seam. So that's the next thing. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll make me one of the back braces, and just temporary tack it here to the frame. I'll weld it good into the steel there, into the body. It's going to be a whole bunch of spot welds, because I'm going to be welding upside down in there. But that should be good enough. And then I can get this body level, get it in the right place where it matches my 2 running boards or splash panels there, and that'll finalize the rear of this thing, and then I can finish making whatever braces and cage I need in here. I'll put the roof on and make me a cage for it, and meanwhile try to do what I can with this rust converter. Works good even over top of real thick rust, but if you just hit it with a DA and knock off the loose rust, or a wire brush and put it on, man, it makes a really tough coating. That's what I'm going to do to all of this in here. I'm just going to rust converter it, and I like that stuff because you can hit it with a flapper disc. It comes off pretty easy, and you can weld, and you can weld right through it. It just makes some nasty fumes. So anyway, there's the doors kind of planned. Next step in the saga is make me body mounts.